There has been a new development in the House Democratic probe into Jared Kushner's alleged conflicts of interest. I can't even believe we say alleged, in his unofficial White House role. In a letter first shared with MS Now, Congressman Jamie Raskin, the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, says he's got new questions about Kushner's real estate practices, specifically his plans to build a luxury resort in Albania and the allegations that the site was purchased with a fake deed. This is the same project that has drawn weeks and weeks of protests from Albanians. Joining the crew chat, Kevin Fry, Capitol Hill reporter for MS Now. What can you tell us about this thing?
Yeah, Steph, look, I mean, they want to know specifically what the communications were between Kushner and the White House and Kushner and the Albanian government about this real estate investment, this goal of setting up this luxury resorts. And they also have questions about whether or not Kushner may have, in Raskin's view, violated the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which, to kind of summarize in the simplest form, makes it unlawful for a U.S. person or company to pay or offer some sort of payment toward a foreign official in order to obtain business. Now, part of that letter, Raskin writes, in part, while acting as our nation's chief negotiator to end several international conflicts created or exacerbated by your father-in-law's administration, you have taken the time to start another fraud-related international incident all by yourself. And this speaks to, of course, as was mentioned, this previous investigation that they announced back in April, looking at his dual roles as both a peace envoy and also the leader of an investment firm that has financial backing from, among other folks, several Middle East nations. Well, at the same time that he is working as a peace envoy on, for example, trying to end the Iran war, trying to end the conflict between Israel and Gaza. Now, I should say that the White House basically says there's no wrongdoing here, that his business work has nothing to do with his diplomatic role. And on top of that, I did reach out to Kushner's folks. They have not gotten back to me about this latest round. But at the same time, Raskin says that Kushner has not cooperated with any of the documents they've been requesting from that earlier investigation. So the question is, would there really be any output right now in relation to this latest round of investigation? But this, at the same time, does, Steph, as you well know, kind of give us some groundwork as to what to expect from Democrats heading into next year, should they win the gavels and with its subpoena power. We know that they, of course, would like to continue this investigation into Kushner, but they have a whole tranche of other things pertaining to Trump that they would like to look into, including Air Force One, the ballroom, his crypto deals. The list goes on from there. Steph.
Kevin, thank you. Here's the thing, though. Investigation, open, let her be damned. This administration is not slowing down, right? I heard that Rick Grenell, who's special envoy to special projects, is actually in Albania. He's been spending time in Greece working on smoothing this over so Jared can get the deal done. They're not pausing on any of this stuff.
Can I just give a shout out to Jared Kushner's assistant, who gets like these inbox requests in his emails and has to go through like, this goes to business, this is classified information, this is Iran war, this is Gaza
Except
peace
there
deal.
Are no boxes, and they're like, hey, like, take a hike. They don't care.
I mean, like, I think about this. I mean, to your point, I mean, this is one of the, I would argue, one of the most corrupt practices in the history of the American government. A person who's negotiating the end of an Iran war, the Gaza war, other Middle East issues.
The Gaza
Lebanon,
war plus the Gaza real estate development project that he wants to.
Correct, the Board of Peace.
Yes.
And at the same time, negotiating and receiving billions of dollars from sovereign wealth funds that are government owned in the region, then using parts of that money, who knows, to go out and buy real estate in Albania, then trying to grease the wheels for the Albanian prime minister who's struggling domestically, politically, and is trying to win favor with the Trump administration, all by an unelected, unaccountable official. Like, it doesn't make any sense to the average American if you present it to him that way. And Jared Kushner has now been doing it for 2 years. And so, again, I think it's the height of corruption. It's the height of greed in this country that nobody is able to bring Jared Kushner. And this is the part in Jamie Raskin's letter. Not only is he ignoring these requests and requests for documents and requests for information, he's not even responding to them. He's literally just kind of like saying Congress doesn't matter in any of this. Yeah. And then he turns around and meets with Hakeem Jeffries. And I would love to know, according to the New York Times, I would love to know whether Hakeem Jeffries said to him, hey, you know, we have a member of Congress who would like to ask you some questions about your business dealings. If that's what Hakeem Jeffries met with him about, he's got my full support. I'm all for it. But if he's meeting with him to try to figure out how to kind of like, you know,
how do we address the affordability crisis in America, which is what Hakeem Jeffries said they talked about while wearing a green hat.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like,
That's
a problem. And look, didn't we in the first Trump administration call Jared Kushner the Secretary of Everything, because he was doing absolutely everything and cutting these deals probably then to continue them right now. The one point I'd make in terms of where Democrats are right now, I absolutely think they should go after what they have called, and Tallarico has talked a lot about this, the corruption of this administration. I think they should run on that. There's a concern, right? Because you don't want necessarily the investigations to take away from the conversation with the American people about what's happening to them on a day-to-day basis. And you don't want to get into Republican territory with Benghazi, where more investigation leads to a diminishing returns in the information that's coming back. But you got to run on this because, and I want to zoom out a little bit, and I talked about this a second ago, that there are so many ways in which this administration and many Republicans running for office are heightening the Islamophobia in this country. But it doesn't matter if the president is taking money from the Middle East, if he's getting airplanes from the Middle East. It's always about how their family and the people that are very close to them become enriched while he's stoking these fears and these concerns and this anger among the American people. It smacks of...
To your point, I was just going to add, I mean, about whether the Democrats should run on it or not. Republicans, specifically Trump, ran on Hunter Biden and Burisma. I think every American...
Draining the swamp.
And draining the swamp. And every American knows Burisma and Hunter Biden selling his paintings for $200,000. They made it a central issue in their campaign.
It's penny ante stuff compared to what these guys
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, it doesn't even compare to what this administration is doing between, Jared Kushner and all the other officials that are, one foot in, one foot out.
And let's remember who young Jared Kushner is, right? He gets into Harvard after his father makes a sizable donation to the university. He goes into the real estate business off of the springboard of his father's own real estate holdings, epically overpays for a Fifth Avenue
666 Fifth Avenue disaster.
Famously goes into the White House with no prior diplomatic or policymaking experience. Roams
didn't even get a security clearance.
He didn't even get a security clearance. Leaves the White House after Trump loses, and somehow magically gets $2 billion from the Saudis for his new investment firm, even though he has no track record as an investor, and is now, simply because of his proximity to the White House and these diplomatic missions he's engaging in, is reining in deals that are adjacent to all of the diplomatic work he's doing. None of this is because Jared Kushner is a talented investor or has a long and storied track record as a developer. It's because his father's in the White House. And like Trump's two eldest sons, he's making hay off of that.